Yes, lovely.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Please Try This channel. I'm Pindeni, and we are continuing on our video tutorial series on making the snake game, and I'm using Armory3D Game Engine. On this video, we are now going to make the snake food, the one which the snake will eat to grow. On the previous video, we were fixing those bugs, those logical bugs, on the build matrix and everything, and now it's time to make the food. So let's make the food. Before I go on scripting, I just want to remind you that we have already created an object here, this yellow object, which we called snake food in the previous video. So we need this name so that we span it. So I'm sure you know it's snake food with small letters. Now let's go on our script, and I'm going to click the camera, the one which I attached, right object, and edit script. So this is our script here. I'm just going to close all these, and the way we are going to do this is we are going to create an empty object where we'll store the values of the spawned snake food, and when we want to see if the snake head has eaten, we just match the grid position of the snake food and of the head, and we know that the snake has eaten. So let's create the empty object. We are going to put a static variable which we'll call food, and then we're going to assign it, it's of type ion.object, like so. So we have this empty object. Static, we use it when we want this variable to be the same all the time during the running of our game. So we just want this never to change. If it's updated, let it update for everything. That's why I put a static there. And now we need a function. You know, functions help us. Okay, function. And the function, we're going to call it span food, so that we know it's for spanning food. And what should it do? What it must do is to check if there is any, because we want the food to be spanned once. So it must check if it has spanned food, and then it stops. We don't want it to keep spanning many foods around. It will be interesting to add to our game after we finish, but for now, let's just follow the implementation of the original snake game by spanning one food. So we need a variable to store that. Okay, var, which we'll call did I span food? So it's asking itself if it has spanned. So just say did I span food, like so that I know what it does. And we are going to initially assign it to 0. So it will ask, did I span food? No. So 0 will be no, so that it knows it didn't. And 1 will be yes, there's food on the table for the snake. So what we're just going to do now is to first check that variable, did I span food, if it's equal to 0 first. And if it's equal to 0, then span food on the grid. Otherwise, our snake will die of hunger. So we're going to go ion.scene.active. Okay, active. And then span objects. That method we used previously, which accepts 3 variables. The first one is the name of that object, which I talked earlier, which is snake food with small letters. And then the parent now. And then the next will be the function when it's complete. So function, and then we're going to have an object called foods. I'm going to put an S here so that it doesn't match this one. So it's foods, and then ion dot, it's of type ion dot object dot object, like so. And then we put our braces in. Let me put them correctly, and let's remember to put a semicolon to terminate this. And now, if everything is done, where should foods be located? We want it to be spanned on a random position on the grid. So we're going to say foods, okay, small letter, foods.transform.lock.set, and then we now want the coordinates. So these coordinates, we want them to be random. And to call random values, we are going to use the std.random as follows. random. And the way this function does is if we put, say, 5 here, it will select a random integer from 0 up to 4. So 5 will not be called. It calls for the one below. It's like the array implementation. That's the way it works. So remember, our grid starts from 0 to 12. So we're going to add 13 here so that it finds a random value or between 0 and 12. So for the x, it's this random value. And for the y, it's the same thing. So I'll just copy and paste for the y coordinate. And for the z, since our players are going to see a 2D game perspective, like, we're going to add a 0. We're not going to consider this. And then what we are going to do now is to activate the changes. So the previous video, I had bugs with this activator. So let's put it foods.transform.build matrix so that it knows something has changed. And now what I need to do is I want the game engine to remember this food, its location and everything. So this empty food here, we need to assign it to these foods here so that it is stored. So I'm just going to say food is equal food from here. This empty object is equal to foods, like so. So each time it is spanned, all information will be stored in this empty object. That's the logic. So now, where do we call this span food? At the beginning of the game, we want food to be ready on the grid. We want it to be spanned on the grid. So we're going to go in this public function new, notify on init. At the beginning, we want the game to span food. Otherwise, our snake will die of hunger. So let's go ahead and call span food like this. And then later on, it will span after the snake has consumed what is on the grid. So I hope everything is fine. And let me just go on render, clean my project first, and play. Yes, this is the food. Remember that yellow plane. So it is random. I'm sure after we set a program that senses if we have eaten, because we can navigate to it like this and it must be eaten. But right now, it's not doing that. At least it is spanning food. Thank you for watching this video. On the next video, we are now going to ensure this food can be consumed by our snakehead. And then later on, we grow our snake. Thank you very much for watching this video. And if you are new, please do consider subscribing to my channel, liking and sharing my videos. Thank you very much.